So, lots of people have asked me if I can talk about my experience with meditating. I've mentioned it a bit before on this channel and a couple of times on Instagram and stuff like that, so I thought I would sit down and actually tell you all about it, because I, last week, crossed 1,000 minutes of meditating, which I think is pretty cool. It's about 16 hours, and I reckon I've been doing it on and off, which we'll talk about in a minute, for about 6 months, maybe more. And so I thought I would sit down and talk about it, because I know it's still like quite new. It seems like everybody's doing it, but also no one really knows what it is or what the deal is. So I thought I would sit down and explain to you. So I meditate using the app Headspace, which is like guided meditation. So there is a voice and you choose like 10 or 15 minutes on the app, and then he talks you through like, okay, now you're going to close your eyes, now you're going to focus on your breath, now you're going to imagine different things, whatever. And it has all different packs, so it has like 10-day packs, 30-day packs, and so it kind of takes you through a program. And it has tons of different packs. So I've done one on like happiness, balance, productivity. There's also ones on like depression and grief and mindful eating, relationships. There's tons of stuff on there. So I find it really useful. And for me, I like the slightly addictive quality of it. Tracks how many minutes you've done. And it's nice to have someone talking you through it. I find it quite hard to do just 10 minutes of silence. So I like that he talks you through it and tells you what you should be doing at each point. So I'd really recommend Headspace. They do have a 30-day free trial, or maybe 7 days. I think it might be 30 days. It probably depends what offer you get it on, but I'll include a link to that in the description box. So I typically do a 10-minute meditation, maybe 15 minutes, and I try and do it first thing when I wake up, first thing in the day, but that's not always possible. It varies a lot. I try and do it every day, but I almost always fail. The longest streak that I've ever done was 30 days. I managed to do 30 days back to back. The app like tracks your streaks, you can see, but apart from that, my streak is normally like 5 days, and then I'll miss a couple, then I'll come back. So I do not manage to do it every day, and that is actually the first thing that I wanted to talk about, is not beating yourself up too much. I think there's a balance to be had between getting addicted to the streak feature, which is really great because it motivates you to do it, it kind of keeps you on track, you know, you don't want to lose your streak, but also not beating yourself up too much if you miss a day. And I said this to my coach, and she said, is there anything that you do every single day of your life? And I was thinking, I bet there's not. Like, I probably don't even eat every day, because sometimes you're like on a flight and you get delayed and you miss a day or whatever. Like, I don't really know if there's anything that I do every single day. You know, I don't wear makeup every day. There's so many things that I don't do every day. So ever since that, I try not to get too hung up if I don't manage to do it every single day. And I actually find the makeup thing kind of as an interesting example. Guys watching this, you might not be able to relate, but maybe you can relate it to like showering. But as a girl, if I wear makeup, then it sets me up better for the day. I feel better, I feel more confident, I feel more myself. But if I don't wear makeup, then my day still goes ahead, it's still fine. I don't beat myself up for not doing it. It's just like, okay, you gave yourself a less good start today, but sometimes you're in a rush, sometimes you don't have time, sometimes you're not planning on leaving the house. And so I've started to think of meditation as kind of the same thing. Like, if I do it, it sets me up better for the day. I'm gonna have a more successful day. I'm gonna be kinder, I'm gonna be more patient, I'm gonna be happier. But if things are a bit hectic, if I'm like getting up at 5 AM to catch a flight, then I don't do it, and that's fine. The day still goes ahead. You know, people still like me, everything is still the same, really. So I've actually found that quite a useful analogy for me. I don't know if that will resonate with you, but I find that really helpful to think of it as similar to makeup. If you do it, it sets you up better, but if you don't, there's always tomorrow. Next, when I'm in the 10 minutes, for those of you who don't really know what meditation is, I guess a short answer is just imagine it focusing on your breath. So trying not to think about anything else, just like feeling the air like go in and go out, and just be like, okay, this is all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about my day, I'm not thinking about that my like leg is dead, I'm not thinking about like the itch on my nose, I'm just like feeling the air move in and out, move in and out. There's lots of other ways that you can do it, but that's kind of the example that we'll roll with for this video. So you're supposed to, for 10 whole minutes, or some people do it for like an hour or a day, just think about that feeling. And I find that almost impossible. I don't think I've ever managed to do a whole 10 minutes. Normally I'll manage it for like maybe 30 seconds and then I'll be like, wait, what was that? And I'll get totally distracted by something, and then I'll realize I've been distracted. I'll be like, okay, hang on Louise, ignore that, come back to this, just like in and out, we're just breathing, we're breathing. And then I'll manage that for, you know, another like 10 seconds or 60 seconds or however long it is, and I will get distracted multiple times. Sometimes I'm better than others. Sometimes I'll get distracted like 3 times in the 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll get distracted like 50 times. So it really depends on how busy you are. I find that if I do it at the end of the day rather than at the start of the day, I get more distracted because I've just got more on my mind. If I haven't checked my phone yet or looked at my calendar or looked at my emails, then I've got less in my head because I've just woken up. I find it easier to meditate then. But you might find it easier at the end of the day because then you've got all your to-do list done and it's not in your mind. Whatever works for you. But I wanted to reassure you that I've been doing it for 1,000 minutes apparently, and I still cannot even do 10 minutes straight. So don't worry if it takes you a long time. Everything that you're doing is contributing. Again, it's a practice, so it's the same as working out at the gym. You can look at famous athletes and famous weightlifters and be like, wow, they're so strong, I can't do that. And for me, that's a similar experience to saying I can't even do 10 minutes and some people can do several hours. So I kind of try and think of it as that, just be like, okay, I'm just improving. Every day is an improvement. I'm just practicing. It's just an exercise. And the same as exercise, you lose it if you don't do it for a while. Then I find myself getting way more distracted because I'm kind of out of the habit. And so yeah, it's just exactly the same as exercise, it's just brain exercise. There's a ton of different options for meditation. I obviously am doing the Headspace one, which means you're sitting still and like focusing on your breath or on your body or doing visualizations. But you can also do walking meditation or swimming meditation. I actually even was doing skiing meditation when we were away for a ski season, because anything that is mindfulness, so where you're really focusing on your senses and not thinking about your to-do list or regrets or hopes or excitement or anything like that, you're just really present. So for example, for skiing, you can't think about what you're going to have for dinner because then you'll crash or someone will crash into you. So you're just really focused on like each turn and like looking for where you're going to turn and just turning and turning. And so I've also done it with swimming, where I'm just focusing on like breathing and the feeling of the water and the smell of the chlorine. Or you can do it sitting on the beach. You can just really tune into the waves and try and like tune out everything else and just like hear the waves just like crashing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Headspace actually does have some walking meditation, where you like go for a walk with your headphones in and it tells you like look for something beautiful or listen to the sounds, and you're basically trying to tune out other things and just listening to one thing. So I've actually done it before at a concert. I've tried looking at each person in the band and hearing like only their instrument. So I'll like really tune into the bass player and like just hear the bass like really loudly. Like I can see him plucking the strings and all I can hear is like the bass, and you kind of tune out everything else. And then you can do the same with like the drummer or the guitarist or the violinist or whatever. So it's kind of similar to that. It's like really focusing on being present. And I know with mindfulness, you can do it with things like washing up, and it's a way to make things that could be a chore into something kind of weirdly beautiful. Like imagine when you're washing up, if you're feeling like all the bubbles and the warm water and like the sponge, and it's kind of just like makes it kind of almost like a dance or like a hypnosis, I guess, where you're just really present and you're really like living that moment. And yeah, it's a way to turn something quite boring or quite mundane into a really valuable exercise and make it kind of almost a bit magical, because this is your life. Like a lot of your life is washing up, so you may as well turn it into something where you're not just wishing it away. And I think I might do a separate video on this, but if you guys haven't watched the video on YouTube, This Is Water, I kind of think of it like that, and that video is just all about how a large proportion of your life is spent like in a queue or waiting for traffic lights or just all this like in-betweeny stuff, like cleaning your teeth, doing washing up, just stuff. And such a small proportion of your life is spent like getting married or blowing out your birthday candles. So it's kind of all about just enjoying those very everyday moments. And so that's what I think meditation can be really useful for. So the benefits that I have got from meditation are changing all the time, and I kind of expected to be more transformed than I am. When I look at these numbers of how much meditation I've done, it makes me feel a bit bad. Like, I don't know if I've actually changed that much, and I've put in so much time, but I guess it's hard to assess your own changes. I definitely have got better at remembering to be mindful. So this is kind of a funny example. If you believe in manifestation, you'll probably think I manifested this. I don't know about that. But I was walking along the beach in Puerto Rico, and I suddenly was really struck by how lucky I am and how thankful I am that I get to just be walking along the beach in Puerto Rico. Like, who can say that? That is so cool. And I was really, really thankful that I live this life where I get to do stuff like that. And so because I kind of took a moment just to like feel thankful and amazing, and I was just like looking out at the ocean just like, this is flipping awesome, then I realized at my feet some sunglasses had washed up, and there was no one else on the beach, so I picked them up and I was like, do these belong to anybody? But there's nobody here. I picked them up and they felt kind of fancy, you know, I could tell they were like quality, so I looked them up later and they were like $300 sunglasses, and they just washed up at my feet at a time when I was being really present and like grateful to the world. But stuff like that, it just occurs to me to be present. Like when I'm waiting in a queue in a supermarket, I just find it easier to be the voice above the voice in my head, you know, the one that's just like running through like hamster wheel. I find it much easier to have another voice on top that's like, why you want a hamster wheel? Let's just like look around and enjoy the beauty of this supermarket. So I found it just gives me like parental control over my own, like monkey mind is something it's often called in meditation. So I found that really helpful. Similarly, when I feel like I'm gonna say something just to lash out, and I know I get better at seeing why I'm doing it. I'm like, Louise, you don't actually believe that. You're just saying that because you want to make them feel bad to make yourself feel better, so this is coming from you, so how can we fix that? Or stuff like that, you know, like if you're having an argument with someone, or if someone's really annoying you. Like the other day I was watching the sunset and someone stepped in front of my view, and at first I was just like, why are you doing this? Like, you're so obnoxious. And then I was like, okay, Louise, chill out, like, you know, let's go around. Or I tried to think nice things about them, like, oh, maybe they're really thankful to see the sunset because they've always wanted to come to Gran Canaria, or like whatever, but I was much better at just immediately putting a cap on that and just being like, come on, that's unreasonable. So I've got much better at understanding myself, and yeah, kind of parental control over my own like negativity, which I found really interesting. The thing that I wanted to get from meditation when I first started was more focus. I wanted to be able to do more single task and not procrastinate and not get distracted. I don't really think I've improved on that, but I got unexpected benefits, and that is still something I would like to get from it. So I feel like this video is already long enough, so I'm gonna wrap it up and say how you can get started. Okay, my battery just died, so sorry if this looks slightly different, but yeah, basically, if you want to do it and you seriously want to do it, then just make a commitment and you can start today. So I would love to know in the comments whether you've given it a try, whether you've already been meditating in the past, and what it does for you. I hope this video was useful to you. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in next week's video. I hope you have a wonderful week. See you again soon. Bye.